everybody, this is Shaggy, and you're watching France 24.
He burst onto the scene with a contagious cover of Oh Carolina.
She call me Mr. Bombastic, friendly fantastic. Put me on me box, she says I'm Mr. Roo.
Stormed up the charts as Mr. Boombastic, but these days everyone's on first-name terms with the reggae crossover superstar known as Shaggy.
I don't know how I let this happen. With who? The girl next door, you know? I don't know what to do.
So it wasn't you.
All right.
20 years after he vowed it wasn't him, he's back, insisting he's innocent.
How could I forget that I had given her an extra key? All this time she was standing there, she never took her eyes off me.
Hey Shaggy, thank you so much for being with us.
Pleasure.
I believe you're locked down at home there in your home studio. How is that going? Are you keeping yourself entertained?
I'm at my home in New York. This is my home studio. This is actually the studio that I have recorded songs such as It Wasn't Me, Angel, and almost every massive hit records that I've done is in this very room. I was trying to get to Jamaica where my family is and my kids and wife and everything, but I couldn't, so I'm kind of stuck here. I am keeping myself as entertained as I could be, but it's album and single release time, so I'm bombarded with tons of press and tons of, live performances and acoustic performances and stuff like that. So yeah, they're keeping me busy.
You're back with a 2020 version of your massive hit, It Wasn't Me, and you made that with Rayvon. Now, what's the biggest change in this new updated version of the song?
The new version is really to commemorate the 20th anniversary of its release. And it's been 20 years since we released a Hotshot album, and It Wasn't Me. So I needed to keep the authenticity of it, but I wanted to give it a new updated digital type sound, make the sounds a little bit more solid, and kind of bring it dancehall. I'm a dancehall artist, and the original version was more of a kind of a hip-hop, smooth hip-hop style of a beat. So I said, why don't we just use Rayvon vocal and put him on this version, which he was kind enough to do it and rock it.
Make sure no say that she really not a right for vex. I never usually see her make the jiggle low flex. As somebody else in favor you in the complex. Seeing is the living, so you better change your specs.
Now that song is about someone who gets caught cheating in a relationship. They get caught in real life. Real life seems like an old-fashioned concept these days. That song, the original, was released before everyone had social media accounts, and now we live in a pretty digital world. How do you think that's changed dating?
If you watch the original video, what was so ironic to us in trying to do the new video is that we realized that how ahead of time we had shot that video. It was computers and people scratching screen. It was like a James Bond movie with all of this thing. It's the technologies that people have now in their regular life, but back then they didn't exist. We were dreaming it, and because of social media, it's all about people's lives, their daily lifestyle. And cheating is a part of all of that. Everybody's on there liking pictures they're not supposed to like. The girlfriends get mad. It's like, why you like this picture? And it becomes this whole thing, and everybody's sliding up in somebody else's DM. So this song really resonates with everything that's going on. But the big misconception of It Wasn't Me is the fact that it's actually an anti-cheating song. Because at the end of the song, it says, I'm going to tell her that I'm sorry for the things that I've done. You may think that you're a player, but you're completely lost. The apology is at the end of the song. The problem with It Wasn't Me is it's such a club banger that everybody plays the record, but they never get to the apology at the end. They just mix it to the next record.
Wanna tell her that I'm sorry for the pain that I've caused. I've been listening to your reason, it makes no sense at all. Need to tell her that I'm sorry for the pain that I've caused. You may think that you're a player, but you're completely lost.
Tell us, What about the inspiration for the song? Does that come from personal experience?
No, not at all. I'll get caught.
So between the release of these two singles, that's 20 years, what would you say the biggest change has been for you personally, professionally, over those last 2 decades?
When I look back at my life, there's been some incredible highlights, amazing highlights. Getting to Carolina was a highlight of my life, which was life-changing. I moved from a guy doing background and maxi pre's to a guy getting $1 million. So there have been quite a few life-changing moments in there. And Wasn't Me and Hot Shot was definitely one of them.
Now, recently you worked with French rap star Maître Gims on a recent track. Now, are you a fan of French rap? What was it like working with him?
I met Gims in south of France. And I was with Sting when we met him. And you know, we just started chopping it up with him and Sting. And we're backstage. You know, I didn't know a lot of his music. But then after speaking to him, I went in and researched. And he's got a crazy voice. Such a wonderful voice. But those melodies that he sings, it's even if you don't speak French or you don't understand what he's doing, it's so amazing. It's so beautiful, the melodies that he sings. It really grabs your ear. And, you know, me, him, and Sting, we just kicked it, and he thought it was a great idea for him to, you know, come on one of our tracks. And then, you know, it was good, man. He's one of the pioneers in the game, you know, and he'll have a long and amazing career, man.
Now, last time we spoke to you was with Sting.
Yo, this is Shaggy.
And this is Sting.
And you're watching France 24.
Yep, you are.
You guys seem to have a lot of fun making the album 44876 together. What did you take away from that experience?
A lot. That was also another life-changing experience. When I did 44876 with Sting, I knew it would shock every single body. I knew it would shock the world. I knew it would shock the dancehall community. I know it would shock the reggae community. I know it would shock the pop community. I know they're like, okay, what the hell is this? That's the most unlikely pair ever. What is this? But that's what made us drive it, because we were allergic to boredom. We were allergic to just doing the same, what's expected. I think the biggest thing I gained out of that whole experience was a friendship I never thought I would have, and a friendship that I needed at the time. Because Sting came with so much knowledge and perspective and life habits that I've developed from being with him. And, you know, it's cool to have a brother like that, you know what I mean? That really genuinely just looks out for you.
I ain't rushing you to make up your mind. Just wanna put some more quality in our time. Come on, girl. Don't make me wait. Don't make me wait. True love, true love, true love you. I can't wait now for love you. Don't make me wait. Don't make me wait. True love, true love, true love you.
And looking back at your career, when you first burst onto the scene in the 1990s, dancehall and reggae had sort of slipped out of the mainstream at that point. But since then, we've seen yourself, stars like Sean Paul, Rihanna storm the charts with like dancehall-inspired music. Where do you think that appetite's come from the public?
I just think it's always been there. You got to remember, reggae is the first and last music, you know? In the early days when you had like the Rolling Stones, and a lot of these people got a lot of their inspirations from reggae and from dancehall. So it's always been there, you know, and it's a part of popular culture. It's the coolness in popular culture. because everything, if you look at music now, every music has some sort of a dancehall affiliation to it. It was hard when I started in 1993 because there was nothing on mainstream radio that supported dancehall. They didn't know what it is. So, you know, the record became a massive record on its own, Old Carolina. And then they actually just kind of fanned the fire. No CEO is going to sit down at record company, at that table and say, well, let's put $5 million behind this dancehall artist who have never done this before. They're not going to risk their career for that. So a lot of it was groundbreaking in that sense.
Now, the arts, music are in a bit of a tight spot right now with great uncertainty about how live performances are going to continue. Tours are being postponed. How do you think the music industry is going to adapt to this?
I think live music will take a hit. I think the live experience will be the last thing to come back. I think if you're being realistic, all concerts and public appearances are going to be shut down till 2021. At least 2021. I'm sure you'll be performances, whether or not it will be full concerts. That is to be said. That is to be seen. And depending on how entertaining that would be. You know, it's cool to sit down and then you watch a song or two, but to watch a full concert just like that, you know, you're not in the atmosphere of an audience and people beside you and that energy. You know, it's hard. It's hard to project that energy. But the atmosphere is what really brings a concert together.
Shaggy, thank you so much for joining us today.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Girl, you're my angel. You're my darling angel. Closer than my peeps, you are to me, baby. Shorty,